Hello everyone, welcome back. And in today's video we are going to be looking at custom swipe actions. So this time we are going to be looking at conditional actions. So in previous video we covered the basics of swipe action modifier that was introduced in iOS 15 and SwiftUI 3. Now in this video we are going to be looking at another practical example of the swipe action modifier, and we're going to focus on how we can build a conditional swipe. Okay, so basically for this example we're going to be building a email inbox page, and we're going to use Hogwarts, for example. So we are going to have some emails from people from Hogwarts. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So we will follow Mvvm design pattern. So this is also gonna give you an idea how Mvvm actually works, and you're gonna see how Mvvm actually is easy to fit in within SwiftUI paradigm if you have not applied it yet, right? So we'll start with our model. So let's go ahead and create a simple model, and we're gonna call this model mail. Okay, so we're gonna create a struct called mail, and it's gonna conform to identifiable protocol. We're gonna have an ID because in order to conform to identifiable protocol, ID is required, and we're going to use UUID to generate unique ID for us. We're going to use a from variable, which is going to be of type string, initials, which is going to be of type string again, and backend or background, which is going to be of type color, subject, this is the subject line, string type, detail. So a quick preview about the mail itself. Like, so most of the email apps, what they do is they read the body and get first three or two lines out, and then they display that. We can actually call that detail. Just a quick preview of what's inside the email. We're gonna have a read status. This is gonna be an enum that we're gonna create in a minute, and time, which is gonna be string type. Okay, so basically our model, like I said, it'll be conforming to identifiable, so it's gonna have an ID that's gonna make it easy for us to use it within a list or for each. Okay, and we're gonna need a read status, like we are getting a complaint here that we cannot find read status in the scope, so we're gonna create that. This read status is basically gonna be an enum representing two states of email, whether email is being read or it's still unread, and we're going to use that for our swipe action. So that's why we are actually creating that. So let's go ahead and create an enum read status. We're going to have two cases, read and unread, or rather read and unread. Okay, it's already read or it's not. Okay, so in real life scenario, your data comes from a backend service, maybe a Firebase or some sort of, like, service that will actually pass the messages or emails back and forth. But to keep our example focused on iOS and on SwiftUI development, we will use dummy data that will come from an extension written for this mail struct. Okay, and that extension is going to provide a sample data computed property as an basically returning as an array of emails. Okay, so I'm going to paste some code, and let's go ahead and talk about that. Okay, So we have a extension to our mail type, and we have a sample data computed property which is returning an array of mail, and each mail is actually the mail object coming from some person. So in this case, Albus Dumbledore, and initials, we're gonna name his name's initial. You can actually very well extract it out or compute it by reading the first character in the from line by, like, separating these into an array. So you can put a bit of logic to compute it automatically, or your service can send it to you. Okay, you're gonna have a background which is gonna act as a background for your from, and you're gonna see how it looks once we actually start building out the UI. But background is gonna be there, and we're gonna put, like, this color background. We're gonna have a subject. Okay, this time, like, about Nicholas Flamel, and 2 is gonna be basically detail is gonna be the description that maybe Dumbledore wanted to say something to Harry Potter in this case in an email. And read status is unread, so Harry has not read it yet. In the time, it was 8:25 p.m. that was just sent. Like that, we're gonna have, like, a few more objects, so just so we have, like, a bit of emails to go through. All right, so once we have our model ready, let's go ahead and move on creating a view model. And our view model will have basically 2 published properties. So we're gonna have one published property that's gonna contain all the mails coming from sample data, okay, or your service. And then we're gonna have another property called pinned mails. So pinned mails is basically we can pin mails that we want to always see within the list. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use that logic to create another list and move our pinned mails into that list, so they can actually stay at the top. Okay, so this is one of the functionality you might have seen inside your messages. Yeah, so similar concept. Okay, so apart from fetching data, keeping track of pinned email items for our view, our view model will also be responsible for making any update to the data, so our view doesn't have to worry about executing the logic on the data, and it can focus on building the presentation part of the app. Okay, so let's go ahead and build out our view model. So it's going to be a class mail home view model, and this is going to be observable object, and like we discussed, we're going to have 2 published properties. And both of them are going to be of type mail array, so it's going to be, both of them are going to contain emails. We're going to have a function. This function is going to get all mails from the service, or in our case from sample data computed property. When we want to change the read status on an email, we're going to simply call update read status, supplying the mail and the new read status. Okay, and we will act upon this. Now this actually is going to require a helper function, because we are only getting a mail, but we don't know which email it is, so we need to actually find out. And the way we can find out is by looking inside our mails, and we can actually get the index. So we're going to create a private function, get index for mail of type mail, which is going to return an optional integer, and we're going to say if let index is equal to mails dot first index where, and we can say where first parameter's id is equal to mail dot id. Essentially we are getting each mail, so we are operating on each mail. So first index is basically mail object itself within the array, and this is the email that we have passed in right here. So if the IDs match, then we want to return that index. Otherwise we simply want to return nil. Okay, so now we can use this. Let me fix this. Okay. So we can use this to find out the index for the mail that is being sent, for which we need to update the read status. So we're going to simply say if let index get index for mail that's been given to us, and we're going to go into our mails array, get the index, get its read status, and update it with the read status that's been supplied to us. Okay, and other than that, we're going to have another function which is going to move our items from all email array or mails array to pinned mails array. Okay, so move to pinned is going to be the function name, and it's going to be of type mail. It's going to be a similar concept, so we're going to get the index for mail, and then when we find it, we're going to say pin.append this mail, and mail start remove at index. So we're going to remove that item from our all emails, so we don't want to keep it there. I mean, if you want to keep it, like, if you just want to copy it, just remove this line, but in my case I'm actually removing it and moving it up into a pinned list or pinned section. Okay, so now we have when we have our model ready and our view model ready, it's time for us to write our view. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to build a cell which is going to represent each email. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that. So we're going to create a struct mail cell, and here we're going to first expect our caller to pass a copy of mail, okay, in a variable. And for our body, we are going to have an h stack which is going to have an alignment of top, and h stack, another h stack which is going to have a circle with fill color dot blue. Essentially what we are doing is we are creating a small dot that is going to represent the red and unread state. Okay, and the way we're going to control that is going to be by opacity. So we're going to say mail dot red status is equal to, if it's already been read, then don't show this circle. If it's not being read, that means the mail is in unread status, then show the circle. Next to it is going to be mail dot initials. We're going to add some padding. I'm going to add a background and clip shape circle. So it's going to sit in a circle. All right, other than that, we're going to have a v stack. Other than the h stack, we're going to have a v stack, and this v stack is going to be, first of all, aligned top leading. So aligned alignment leading. Okay, we're going to have an h stack. This h stack is going to have a text mail dot from dot bold. We can have a spacer, and then gonna have a text. Okay, this is basically gonna be the time when the mail was sent. We're gonna set its font to be subheadline and foreground color to be gray. Okay, so basically it's gonna show who sent the email with the bold text and a grayed out, slightly grayed out text, like about what time they have sent it. Then we're gonna have a text for our subject line. Once again, we're gonna turn it into bold, and font we're gonna set it to sub headline. We can have another text which is gonna have a mail dot detail. Font is gonna be caption, and foreground color is gonna be gray. Okay, and that's about it. So that's our entire email cell representing each email. Okay, now for our mail home, we're gonna create a view, as we're gonna call it mail home, which is gonna represent our main view where we're gonna iterate over all the mails. We're gonna have basically an observable object which is gonna be observing changes into our view model. So let's go ahead and create our mail home, which is gonna be our inbox page. Essentially, gonna have observed object, which is going to be the view model, mail view model. Okay, and for body, we are going to have, first of all, a navigation view. Now this navigation view is going to contain a list. Okay, and this list is going to contain our two sections. Basically, one section is going to be for pinned items and one for all the emails. Okay, we're gonna need a couple of helper functions for this to work. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create our helper functions first. Okay, so we're gonna have private func read unread action button. Okay, and this is basically gonna give us a button based on read and unread status. Okay, so we're gonna return some view. We're gonna have a button, like the name suggests, it's gonna return a button which is gonna basically call viewmodel dot update read status. Okay, and we're gonna see if the mail's read status has been read. That means the mail has been read and user is performing the swipe action. Then we're gonna change this into the unread, just opposite. Otherwise we're gonna turn it into read. So we are flipping the read and unread state. Okay, for the label, we're gonna create a label. This label is gonna contain basically the text representing what this action is. So basically this is our swipe action that we are working on, and gonna have read status. So if it's read, we're gonna say now mark it unread, otherwise mark it read. Okay, and we are also we are also going to have our system image. Okay, and the system image is going to apply the same logic. So read status is read. Okay, if it is read, then we're gonna display unread icon and envelope dot fill, and if it's been unread, then we're gonna display open envelope. So like so. Okay. For the entire button, we're gonna give it a tint of red. All right, so this is basically to flip our read and unread state, and we're gonna have another private function to pin our basically pin our mail, and this is gonna be called pinned action button, and it's gonna return some view. Okay, and it's basically gonna return a button. We're gonna call vm dot pinned move to pinned, and we're gonna pass our mail that we have received. For label, we're gonna simply display a label with pin as title, and the image is gonna be system image pin dot fill. Okay, this button is gonna have a tint color of yellow. All right, now go back to our list. We are going to first of all check if not vm dot pinned dot is empty. So if the pinned is empty, then don't show this section. But if pinned is not empty, then show this section with header as pinned mails, the name of the header, and for the content we're gonna have a for each, which is gonna go over all the pinned items, and it's gonna give us access to email, and we're gonna simply call our mail cell here, passing the mail that we have received from the for each. Now we're gonna associate a swipe action with this. Okay, and swipe action is gonna have a some content, and we're gonna call our read unread action button inside that, so we don't have to write all that logic here. We've already written that here. Essentially what it's doing is whenever you swipe and you select that action or full swipe, then it's going to change the status of mail from read to unread and back to read. Okay, all right, so that's your if the pinned is empty. Okay, if not vm, sorry, if pinned is not empty, if the mails is not empty basically, then you're gonna have you're gonna do something similar. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this guy and paste it right here, and this is gonna be basically unpinned. Yeah, let's call it unpinned mails. Okay, because but we only want to show when the pinned is not empty. So vm dot pinned dot is empty. So if it is empty, we don't want to show any section header, and if it's not empty, then we're going to show unpinned mails. Okay, it's gonna go over all the mails, so for each is going to be on the mails. Okay, and this guy is going to have two action buttons, so two swipe actions. So first swipe action, read and unread. Okay, second swipe action is going to be basically pinned action button for the mail, so being able to pin an item on the action button. And for this one, we're gonna define the edge. Okay, and edge is gonna be leading side. All right, and this is basically gonna give us an action button from the leading side. All right, now for this we are also going to have a navigation title, and let's give a navigation title as inbox. All right, and we also want to populate our mail, so basically get all the emails. So we're gonna simply on appear, we're gonna call Viewmodel.getAll. Okay. All right, with that we have reached to a place where we can actually launch this. So we're gonna call mail home, and I'm gonna simply run the app, and what we should see is not this. All right, so that's for the next video, or one of the upcoming videos. Okay, this is what we should see. What we are seeing is an inbox. Okay, and this inbox has some mails. Some of them are red, and as you can see, like, you know, this one is red, so it does not have the unread indicator, and some of them are unread, and they have, like, you know, this indicator. So let's go ahead and mark all of them as unread. Okay, so all of them are unread. Now let's go ahead and mark all of them red. As you can see, when space allows, swipe actions automatically displays the label as well as the action icon. So, and as you notice, our icons are appearing conditionally based on, like, you know, what's the state of our view model, right? Okay, so that is our action button, and conditional action swipe actions are working fine. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our pinned item. So our pin is showing up just fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and pin, and there we go. We have our pinned item and unpinned item. Now if you notice, it's rather abrupt, like, you know, you just move it up. So you can add something to improve that. What we can do is we can associate an animation, ease in and out. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. This animation is gonna give a warning. Now this animation modifier has been deprecated, as you can see, starting iOS 15, and this, like, you know, is no longer gonna be valid, and you're gonna be expected to have a value instead. Okay, so basically you can have a parameter called value, which is gonna associate your animation to certain value, but more on that in another video. Let's go ahead and create this. It's still gonna work. It's not gonna throw an error. It's just a warning, deprecation warning at this point. Okay, so I'm gonna pin, and notice how the mails are moving from one section to another. Okay, so with that we have reached the end of this video, and hopefully you liked building out Hogwarts inbox page using iOS 15, new swipe actions, and learned a whole bunch about swipe actions and the conditional swipe actions. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys in another video. Thank you.